Welcome, pre-algebra students, to your video on operations with integers. We're going to talk about addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division of our friends, the integers, that part of the real number system. Let's get started right away. Talking about adding integers, it's all about magnitude. Magnitude meaning size, the size of the positive, the size of the negative. One positive and one negative cancel each other out. That's the main way that my brain thinks this math out. One positive and one negative cancel. They disappear. So they combine to make nothing. Nothingness. Let's look at a balloons and weights analogy. Okay. So what we have here is some balloons on a basket, and then we have some weights on the bottom of the basket. The basket goes up if you add balloons. So the balloons pull it up, and the weights drag it down. So the weights are like negative numbers, and the balloons are like positive numbers. When you're adding and subtracting positive numbers, it looks like so. You can add balloons, then your basket will go upward. So you can add balloons, your basket goes upward. So I had 3 balloons there, and I added 1, and now I have 4 balloons, so it goes up higher. But you can also subtract those balloons. And so that would be, in this case, taking the 3 balloons we had, well, switch to the pen tool, 3 minus the 1, and your balloon goes downwards. So when you add positives, your balloon goes up. When you subtract positives, your balloon goes down. Subtracting, or adding and subtracting negatives, that's your weights. You can add weights, that's adding a negative. The basket will get pulled downward. So 3 plus negative 1, the basket overall goes downward. Or when you are subtracting negative values, your basket's going to go upward in the positive direction. It's a little counterintuitive, but it's easy to see here. 3 minus a negative 1. If I took away that weight, the balloons brought the basket up higher. Okay, that's the one you want to remember. All right. The balloon analogy is great for understanding the concept, but how do we actually do the problems? Well, for addition, we're going to use this little idea here. Same sign, we're going to add and keep. So if 2 numbers are positive, we're going to add them, we're going to keep it positive. If 2 numbers are negative, we're going to add them, we're going to keep it negative. Let's do simple ones like negative 2 plus negative 3. We add the magnitude of the 2 numbers, that's 5, and we make it negative. But 2 plus 3, also just add and keep. Not sure why I put those parentheses in there, sorry. For different signs, each positive cancels out one of the negatives. Should be negatives. Or I guess it says 1 negative. Each positive cancels out 1 negative. What's left over is the answer to the problem. How about 5 plus negative 3? Well, that 5 breaks apart and becomes 2 plus 3 plus the negative 3, and the negative 3 and the 3 are going to cancel each other out, and you have a 2 left over. So you can picture this in your head with smaller numbers, or you might have to do a little bit of computation on paper with larger ones. Subtracting is different. Subtracting is adding the opposite. We use something called keep, switch, switch. So we add the opposite. So look. 3 minus 7. With our method that we are going to learn here, what we do here is we would say keep the 3, switch it to addition, and switch this positive 7 to a negative 7. And now we treat it as though it is addition, which we already learned how to do. That keep, switch, switch method works really well for keeping things organized and when there's symbols building up on one another, as we'll see in a minute, with some addition and subtraction examples. So my suggestion would be to pause it and try them and come back and see how we do. Okay, so at this point, hopefully you actually have sat down to do the problems. Let's run through some answers. 3 plus negative 8. Well, the negative 8 comes apart in my mind and becomes negative 5 and negative 3. So I have 3 plus negative 5 plus negative 3. Now, what I'm writing out is the concept here, not what you'll actually write out. The 3 and the negative 3 canceled. We're left with a negative 5. Okay, well, the sooner we see these patterns, the easier this is going to get. Same idea for this one, 8 and negative 3. So this time, it's the 8 that has to break up into 3 plus 5 plus the negative 3. And again, they cancel each other out, but this time you get a positive 5 solution. When it's the same sign, you're just going to add them and keep the sign. So you got -2 and -5, it's just -7. When you have a string of them, add all the negatives together first, as long as it's all addition. If anything says subtraction, it's different. But add the negatives together first, so that would be right here, -7, and then +7 cancels out and we get a 0. All right, how about some subtraction? 3 minus 8 is the same thing as 3 plus -8. Now, I don't think we needed that for that one, because hopefully we saw just fine that 3 minus 8 goes to -5. But if not, that keep switch is there for you. Yet another ad playing in the background of my video. Okay, -2 minus 7. Now, I like to see this as -2 and -7, which to me makes it clear that it's -9. But you might want to use keep, switch, and then it's definitely -9. Next one, 4 minus -8. Well, that's like we take off 8 weights on the balloon up in the air, and it's going to go up quite a bit. Take off the weights, your balloon goes up. So, oh, I paused it. I meant to mute it. Okay, sorry. I got distracted by the fact that my music wasn't back yet. 4 minus -8 is the same thing as saying 4 plus +8. So that's subtracting a negative. You know, it's like a double negative in English. If you're not sure what that is, make sure you ask. -2 minus -4. So we keep, switch, and that comes out to +2. All right, multiplication and division. So when you multiply, oh, and I made a mistake, like a glaring mistake on this. So let's pretend that you haven't noticed it yet, which you probably have. Like a ridiculous glaring mistake. So just pretend you didn't notice that. Humor me. Okay, anyway, when you multiply or divide two numbers with the same sign, the answer will always be positive. When you multiply or divide two numbers with the opposite signs or different signs, the answer will always be negative. All right, so I'm not even going to go ahead and do any examples on this page, although I do want you to think a little bit about the concept on this as well, okay? I want you to think, if I went to 4 stores and spent $5 at each store, I spent $20. So there's an example of opposite signs coming out negative, and reasonably so. The hard one is the negative times the negative. And you can use your double negative in English and think about, if I don't not want to go, then I must want to go. Or you can think -4 times -5. Well, that could be, let's see, that could be someone stole my debit card and made 5 purchases of $4. And so I went to the credit card company and got on the phone and yelled at them and said, I didn't use my debit card. And they refunded 4 purchases, each one worth $5, and positive 20 appeared in my account. So one more time, someone stole my debit card and made $5 charges, and the credit card company forgave, so negated 4 $5 charges, and I got $20. So that's actually a pretty good analogy as to why that's positive right there. Last screen for this video, just a little bit more practice. All right, I would do the same thing we did before, pause it, try them, and then start it up again, but I'm going to get started. 3 times -50, 3 times -5 would be -15, and we're going to tack on the 0. So that one's -150. -5 times -8, negative times negative, positive. Okay, and that is just like we saw on that previous slide. What about when there's more than 2 factors? Well, multiply to begin with. So -2 times -4 is positive 8, and then multiply by your -5, so that one comes out to be -40. Okay, so multiply these, and then multiply with the leftovers. And then division. Straight up division, 18 divided by 6 is just 3, but the 6 is negative, so the quotient has to be negative. 300 divided by 15 will be 20. Negative over a negative is a positive, so that's positive 20. And finally, -7 divided by, -7d divided by 5. That's actually a perfect opportunity for us to practice some short division. Remember, I don't do long division. It's a giant waste of time. I do short division. So 5 goes into 7 one time with 2 left over. 5 goes into 20 4 times with none left over. Ta-da! Negative 14. Messy. Just try it again. Negative 14. Hope you liked your integer operations video. I don't think it ended up being all that long. It's late, and I am going to call it quits. I will see you guys in class.